Now, I have been working with these disorders for a long time. I actually did an entire reality television series about what it's like to treat people with this condition. Now UCLA researchers are coming to the conclusion, guess what? Sex addiction is a legitimate mental disorder. On my show, Sex Rehab, Nicole Narain spoke openly about this. Take a look. And I'll tell you, when you see this disorder, when you really see people that are afflicted with it, it's not subtle. It's not something you question whether or not it exists. And often in women, we were just looking at a young lady with this disorder, it comes from severe childhood sexual trauma. Simone, you agree with me?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that finally this is going to be recognized, which is an area that you, Dr. Drew, of course, have been working in for such a long time. It is incredibly sad. It's incredibly distressing. People think because it's sex and because celebrities, want the get out of jail, free card,
right.
Oh yeah, I'm a sex addict. Maybe some of them are, but actually when it really, really affects someone, they can lose their job, they can't maintain a relationship, and they are craving to be close to somebody, and they are, as you know, Dr. Drew, full of shame and come from a bad place.
It's exactly right. The people that are having these close connections physically with all these people will always say the same thing. All I want is a real relationship.
But can I just ask you a question? Do you think some people, though, take advantage of the label?
Absolutely.
They're just bad people, and they say, oh, I'm an addict, so I need to pass.
Well, bad people is a pretty broad term, but
well,
yes,
just
like with shopping addiction and eating addiction, these behavioral addictions are very dicey to deal with. You can use the term addiction too broadly, as opposed to when somebody really loses control and is really having profound consequences. Cindy in Kentucky, you want to say something here?
Hi, Dr. Drew. Thanks for taking my call.
Cindy?
I don't think it's a sexual addiction. I think it's a hormonal imbalance, just like a low libido.
Wait, Cindy, what does that even mean? What is a hormonal? That's not a term that means anything to me. Hormonal imbalance. What hormone? And exactly what biology? What mechanism? And what exactly does it do to the brain?
I just think that something in the brain is not working correctly.
I totally agree with you, and that's what makes an addiction an addiction. Because it is a part of the brain called the medial forebrain bundle that's a part beneath consciousness that sets up a drive, a system that cannot be withstood. In fact, all the rest of the systems serve that drive. So your thinking, your reasoning, all those good things that we use normally to make good judgments become a part of the liability of this distorted motivation.
Are you saying we could actually do a brain scan of a guy who's cheating on his wife?
No,
he says, I'm a sex addict, don't blame me.
And we can tell the difference?
And tell if he really has a biological problem?
I believe there will be a time we could do something like that. That makes sense to me.
Hi everybody, happy Thursday. Now today's video is on a topic that we haven't discussed in years, and that topic is hypersexuality as a result of childhood sexual abuse or sexual assault. And the first thing that I want to say is that the truth about childhood sexual abuse or sexual assault at any age, the most common response is actually to be hypersexual. And I know a lot of you out there watching this video who haven't gone through this are thinking, isn't that like the opposite? Isn't that counterintuitive? Why would someone who was harmed sexually as a child or at some point in their life then turn around and be hypersexual? Why would they do that? Why would they hurt themselves with the very thing that hurt them in the beginning? And there are many reasons that we do it. The first is that it's a way to regain control, to take it back. Many of my clients have told me that they will be hypersexual. They'll put themselves in dangerous sexual situations because it's their way of saying, it's my body, I decide, I do what I want. And it's almost like they get to reverse the role. Instead of feeling like someone has control over them and can do whatever they want to them, and even them saying no isn't stopping it, They get to choose and they get to have as much sex as they want. The second reason many people become hypersexualized is validation. Imagine if we were sexually abused as children. We were raised in that environment. Through that time in our formative years, we were shown that maybe the only way we got one-on-one attention was with sex. Maybe the only time we were really told that we were loved was through sex. Maybe that's how we knew we were worthwhile and we were important and all of those things. Maybe that was something we were told while we were being sexually abused. So you can see how if that's what's happening in our formative years, even into our teens, we will associate love, support, validation with sex. But the third reason that I know of in my experience is chemical dependency. And that sounds like we're talking about addiction, and we kind of are. Sex can release those feel-good hormones. You know how I've talked about different chemicals in our brain like dopamine and norepinephrine and all those things that swirl around and make us feel really good? Sex releases those.